Hello, everyone. It's the Walking Dead TV podcast, episode 52, and we are back for season 2 with our big show for Nebraska.
It's about dang time.
It's about dang time. This is John, and I have with me my dang friends, Jim and Brad.
Dag nabbit.
Dang.
And it's 52. We're finally playing with a full deck.
Yeah, but as irony would have it, we're not playing with a full deck. Jordan had something come up last minute. Russell is a bit under the weather.
Jordan's high maintenance.
Yeah, he's the diva of the group. Unfortunately, he's the best at the synopsis and all of the facts. So tonight you're going to get some out-of-order stuff that probably isn't true.
You're going to get the B team now. No, it's all good.
Yourself.
No, I know.
I'm on the A team.
Yeah,
We are capable adults, yes?
Yes, we are capable. Okay, so we're going to do our best to bring you the high-quality show that we usually do. Things might be a little different tonight, but I think we'll all be fine. Before we get to the important stuff, there's been a big news item that popped up, and it happened just after we recorded last show, and it's kind of lousy timing because we have a busy night, and now we have all our episodes to cover. But we do want to mention that Tony Moore, who is the original artist for The Walking Dead, who's the artist for the first 6 issues of the comic book, and I guess in charge, or I should say responsible for the designs of the main characters of the book. I mean, certainly in the first 6 issues, he designed Rick, Lori, Shane, Carl, what the zombies look like. I mean, I think it's fair to say that he designed all of that stuff.
Absolutely.
Somewhere along the way, he was not on board for the television show, and AMC needed him to sign his rights away to Robert Kirkman.
What the suit by Moore actually says that he was fraudulently coerced into signing away his rights, as you say, for the TV show. But in exchange, he got a piece of several other series, including Neil Kirkman's Battle Pope and a few other things that he worked on with Kirkman. And that Moore has not been able to audit the accounting for the series since then. So he's not sure the numbers that they're using are jiving with what he thinks he should be making, and definitely doesn't think he's signed away his rights on the TV show in exchange for these other rights. But now I think he's wanting a piece of that pie now that The Walking Dead is so popular.
Right. So basically, in a nutshell, Tony Moore wants more money for the success of The Walking Dead television show, and Robert Kirkman says you're getting what you deserve and what you signed for. So there's going to be a lawsuit.
Which one is spoken? Is it libel or slander?
See, where's Jordan when we need him?
Slander is spoken, libels in print.
Slander. Okay, is it okay for me to slander on this podcast, or should I keep it to myself?
You can slander all you want, as long as it's not about me again.
No, I met Tony Moore, and he came across as a bit of a DB, in my opinion. We don't know the full story. He could, in fact, have gotten the shaft by Mr. Kirkman. We don't know, but I kind of feel like maybe there's some sour grapes based on my experience in meeting Tony Moore. Maybe Tony Moore was having an off day when I met him. Maybe he's a great guy, but when I met him, he wasn't. So.
Well, the actual quote from Kirkman is, he says that the lawsuit is ridiculous, that they each had legal representation 7 years ago, and now he's violating the same contract he initiated and approved. And Tony regularly receives payment for the work he did on the first 6 issues of The Walking Dead, and he receives royalties from the TV show. To assert otherwise is simply incorrect. So Kirkman's basically saying, hey, this is what you agreed to, here's your piece. You really don't have much any legs to stand on, it seems like.
Yeah, so I mean, we'll monitor it in the future. I mean, it's interesting. I think the thing that we find most interesting is that, the first season was really that first 6 issues, which was all of Tony Moore's stuff, and they did take a lot of shots right off the page of the book.
Big time.
Right, so, you kind of feel like Tony Moore does deserve his cut, and hopefully he's getting it, and he's just trying to be greedy about it and get more. And it's not that he's been cheated in any way, but who knows? Money makes people do crazy things, so.
I mean, his name's still on the program in the credits.
Yeah, I'm sure he'd rather have a mill or so.
Yeah, who knows? Like I said, we don't know everything, and we may never.
Right, but we did want to cover that. We would be remiss to not at least speak about it because it didn't make it into our last show. But we're really here to talk about Nebraska, the big episode 8 return of season 2. And one thing we need to do before that is talk about our sponsor, don't we, Brad?
Yes, sir. DCB Service. You've heard us talk about them. They're wonderful. We've got some exciting specials to talk about. The DC celebration continues at DCBService.com. DC Comics New 52. Their number 8 issues are all available. If you're continuing to buy all 52 new comics that DC is publishing, you can get all of the 8th issues in a bundle for 50% off. I never did the math, but it's a pretty incredible price for 52 comic books. I can't recall the math right offhand, but it's a bargain. Along with the New 52 theme, all new DC trade paperbacks and hardcovers related to the New 52 are half off this month, and all the rest of the DC trades, and those would be like the first, I'm assuming 5, 6, 7 issues of the relaunch, those trades and hardcovers they're talking about there. So if you didn't get in on the ground floor, you can get in on the ground floor with those collections. The other DC trade paperbacks and hardcovers offerings are 45% off. And last episode, I beg your pardon, when I was talking about the DC Vertigo line, I, like a dummy, said that there are no zombie books in the Vertigo line, but there is. It's called iZombie, and it's, can't remember the author, but it's drawn by Mike Allred, and I read the first 2 issues. I liked it a lot. You can get the new Vertigo has 4 new titles, and iZombie's not one of those new titles, but it is there for you. Anyway, the 4 new titles, you can get the second issues of those in a bundle for 75% off. That's 4 books for the price of 1, which is awesome, at $2.99. So go check out DCBService.com, and they've got all your Walking Dead stuff there as well. And don't forget to check out their sister website, InStockTrades.com, for all those Walking Dead collections.
And especially don't forget, if you use the code WD8 and you're a first-time buyer at DCB Service, or you haven't bought anything from them in a year, you get an extra 8% off your order, which is huge, on top of their already deep discounts. So you really can't beat those prices.
No, and quickly, while we're on the subject of merchandise and comic books and buying stuff.
Did you say quickly?
I will say it again, in case I said quickly.
No, it's cute, though, quickly.
One other thing we should mention while we're on the subject of merchandise and things like that, they announced the Series 2 action figure set for the Walking Dead TV series, and it's going to be, let's see if I can get this right without information in front of me. There's a new Rick, there's a Shane, there's the zombie Stu, he got his own figure, and there's another zombie, like just a different style walker or something. So
I see it, the RV zombie, the one that was going after...
Oh, nice, the one that got the screwdriver in the head?
Yeah, the one that was going after Andrea.
Sweet.
And the Bicycle Girl as well, right?
Oh, yes, Bicycle Girl, definitely. Yep, so it's actually 3 new zombies, Rick and Shane.
Since we're talking about merchandising really quickly, did you guys see the deluxe Blu-ray set designed by McFarlane Toys for The Walking Dead? It's screwdriver.
Yes, I did.
And you use a screwdriver to open up the top of his head.
Sweet.
And where his neck is where you keep the Blu-rays. It's pretty sweet.
I have not seen this.
Oh, Brad, you did see it. You saw it in Facebook, and you said that is really cool, I think.
Oh, okay.
It's a DVD case thing with a screwdriver head zombie.
Yeah, I remember that now. Of course I saw it.
Yeah, so lots of cool Walking Dead stuff going around, and this episode called Nebraska killed it. It did amazingly in the ratings. I don't know the number. Again, we don't have Jordan, so the facts are out the window, but it broke all of the basic cable television records again. And we're going to talk about Nebraska now, and I think, Brad, you're going to give it the first go at the run-through.
Yeah, I'll just pretend I'm Jordan, and we're just going to be up front, guys. We're taking this synopsis from walkingdead.wikia.com. Might as well go to the source. You can believe everything on Wikipedia. No, of course you can, but it's a great synopsis, and so I'm just going to kind of breeze through part of this. this. Might as well do this instead of trying to do it off our heads. Emotions run high in the aftermath of the Barn Walker massacre. Beth Green goes over to her mother Annette to mourn. Now, Beth is Beth Herschel's granddaughter or daughter or?
Yeah, it's Herschel's daughter. She's reaching out to her stepmom.
Okay.
She's shot there in the aftermath, and her stepmom's not quite. There was no double tap done.
Right.
Yeah.
So she kind of grabs at her. Something I want to say really quick about the opening, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
What I thought was amazing was they left it up. They started the episode right where the other episode left off.
Yeah, that was
literally
glorious.
seconds, like between Rick shooting Sophia. I mean, it literally got right to the point, right to where right from where it ended, which I thought was really great.
Yeah, he was still holding the gun pointed at her.
But the part we're talking about with Beth going over to Annette, that actually came after the title sequence, correct? And the opening before that was the stuff that we had all seen in the preview footage and stuff. Does that sound right?
Well, Beth running over and being attacked by her zombified mother was in that preview footage as well.
Okay, all right. I didn't watch all the previews, but I knew I had seen some of the a lot of the opening. I had felt like I'd seen already.
I honestly don't remember if this happened
No,
before.
it's before the title sequence. In fact,
Okay.
not only Andrew takes out Herschel's wife or what have you, also Shane kind of confronts Herschel as they go into it's like telling him he's living in a dream, and Herschel's telling him that you people are like a plague, and that whole scene between them and Shane kind of doubting Rick and kind of chiding him for letting things go, trying to be diplomatic and trying to help trying to reason with Herschel, and then it goes into the opening credits.
That scene where Andrea comes up with that sieve and just sidearms it right into her head, that was crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty happy with Andrea at this point. I think her character started off slowly, and now she's, sieving zombies, like you said, and there's that ripped-off arm scene where she just kind of picks up the arm and flips it in the truck and jumps in the back of the truck with all the dead zombies. Dead zombies, I guess that's kind of redundant, but the really dead zombies. And so that's pretty cool.
Awesome. Yeah,
she's hardening enough at this point that I'm happy with that character right now.
Like Jim said, Shane accuses Herschel of knowing that Sophia was in the barn, but he says he did not know it. And he said Otis probably put her there before he died, and then he tells Rick's group to get out.
Yeah, at this point, I'm kind of like, dude, like, why do you even have to? There's no rules anymore. I mean, I know Rick and that group is the good guys in quotes, but like, why can't they just be like, we're not going anywhere? Like, there's really no rules anymore. Like, you're gonna kick us off your land. What does that even mean?
Well, doesn't Lori say something to him later about that? And oh no, okay, that comes later when Herschel disappears. Lori answers your question. That scene between Lori and Shane answers your question about why between Lori and Rick answers your question about why Rick is not doing that. Why he's still trying
to reason with Herschel.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, good. I must have missed that, so we'll get to it when we get
that's pretty important actually. We will get to it later. He speculates that Otis probably put her there, and then tells Rick's group to leave the farm. He says, people are like a plague on me. And if you think about it from his point of view, they haven't really helped out a lot in this situation. And Rick kind of ridicules Shane for trying to because Shane doesn't understand why he's trying to reason with him. And then we get that cool scene with Carl and Lori, where Lori's talking to Carl about Sophia, and that Carl says that he would have done the same thing that his dad did, and that Rick did the right thing. I thought that was a good character moment between the two of them.
Yeah. And is this about the time when Rick kind of comes out of the house and puts the hat back on Carl?
Yeah, because you dropped this.
Yeah.
That's when I think that's a little later. That happens a little later when Dale takes him inside.
Okay.
They decide that they're going to bury Sophia and Herschel's wife and stepson and burn the rest. Who was that? Andrea said, we bury the ones we love and we burn the rest.
Right.
And I guess, you don't want to have to dig too many holes. You want to respect. I wouldn't want to dig more holes than I needed to, I don't know these people, so I'm not going to take the time to bury them. I guess I can get that.
Yeah, there's a bit of desensitization going on, definitely.
And there's a weird, somebody says we need the truck. And the young blonde kid, what's that kid's name? Herschel's, was it grandson or nephew or something? Timmy or Jimmy?
I don't think it's Jim.
I can't remember his name. I do remember that Shane was trying to teach him to use a firearm before.
Right.
Yeah, it is Jimmy.
He says, I'll go get the truck. And Shane goes, no, I got the truck. And he wanders off to the truck. And there's that weird scene with Shane and Dale. And Dale's just staring at him. And Shane gets in the truck, looks at him, gets out, walks back over to Dale. And what's great about that scene is that Dale hardly even says anything. He just stares at him. He's getting to Shane.
Yeah, he doesn't say a word actually in that scene. Shane goes back and forth, saying different things, and Dale just stares at him. It isn't until later that Dale kind of opens his mouth about what he suspects about Shane.
Right. Cut to Carol refusing to go to the funeral. She's in the RV. Daryl's in there watching after her. Lori comes up and says, "Hey, let's go." And she says, "No." And Daryl gets mad, and I'm wondering why. Why can't he understand? Yeah, he went looking for her, day after day after day. He even says that he never gave up looking for her. But why does he get mad that Carol doesn't want to go to the funeral?
Yeah, I don't. You know what? I'm going to save it for a little bit later. But I have real problems with Daryl right now, and I know it's not going to be a popular opinion, but they're just bouncing him around. It stuck out here a little bit, but it sticks out a little bit more when he talks to Lori. So I'm going to hold it for then. But I don't know what Daryl's thinking. It goes back and forth too fast with him.
Okay. Let's see. We got Herschel packing his wife's belongings up in cardboard boxes.
And I'm sorry, Brad. Just to go back to what you were saying for a second. Like they go back, they show that scene of Daryl saying how hard he was trying to keep Carol away from the barn, right? Or he says to her, like, "If I'd known she was in there, I would make sure you didn't see it," type thing. And now he's begging her to go out and see the dead body before they bury it. Like, I don't. You're right. I don't get it. But I'm sorry. Good.
No, it's cool. I agree. Daryl seemed a bit inconsistent in this episode. He seemed like he was back to the old Daryl in some parts of the episode. It was like two different people wrote him this episode or something. It's kind of weird. But so Herschel's packing her things, and finds an old flask. And we've been told that he hasn't had a drink in a very long time. But obviously, this is not the case anymore. There's a funeral. After the funeral, Andrea and Tina hug. Here comes your scene. Pile the corpses onto the truck, and they say that Shane did what needed to be done. Dale protests, suggesting that a new problem with Herschel was created in the wake of resolving the safety concern of the barn walkers. And isn't that where they drive off and the one arm falls off?
Yeah.
I expected something.
I expected to start grabbing at her.
Something seemed
At least a twitch,
Yeah, or maybe one of the walkers in the back of the truck to sit up or something when she hopped back in the truck. But I don't know. That was just. It was cool, and funny, haha. But it seemed odd. There was like something missing from that, and I'm really not sure what was missing.
Just about the flask. Probably skipping ahead again, but screw it. When they go looking through Herschel's things, and Maggie says that Herschel hasn't had a drink since she was born. You guys recall that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that's when they realize that Herschel's gone.
Right. Now, somebody said, and I'm not sure of this, so maybe we can get an email or a tweet or something on Facebook to confirm or deny this. Somebody said that in a previous episode, she says that Herschel and her mother married when she was 14, and all Maggie wanted to do was go drinking and something at that point in her life. So now she's saying he hasn't had a drink since she was born, but previously she said that her mother didn't marry him until she was 14. So I don't know if it's total continuity error or maybe there's just maybe somebody's mistaken in saying that that's what happened previously. But I seem to recall her saying that now that they bring it up.
Sounds vaguely familiar.
I'll have to go back and look. I don't remember.
I mean, that would just be sloppy continuity error if that's the case. But I don't want to dwell on it because I'm not sure. But that would be bad.
It may be an error, but in the long run, I don't really think that would matter that much.
No, it doesn't matter. But it's just
Yeah.
sloppy, like your world
No, I
building.
agree.
You know.
You want things to be well thought out. So Maggie asked Glenn if he would stay if the rest of his group were to leave, but he doesn't really know how to answer that question. Talk about putting him in between a rock and a hard place.
Yeah, he didn't do well with that. He's like, is this the right time?
This is like his first girlfriend ever or something, right?
As far as we know.
Yeah. Now Beth is the one who was attacked by her zombie mother. She goes into some kind of shock or something, and she just falls and she's just laying there with her eyes open. I thought this was kind of weird. Somebody on Facebook said, watch her have been scratched by a zombie and she's infected now and she'll end up dying and being a zombie.
You know, it made sense to me when that person said that, but they didn't even give you any clue. They didn't show her, like, maybe take a little scratch. They didn't, I don't know. It would be really subtle if that's what they're doing.
Right.
My original thought was that she'd gotten bit.
Yeah, kind of like Jim got bit and then hid it for a while, but they probably would have discovered that. But, really all this is, with Beth collapsing, is just a plot device
Yeah.
to get Rick and Glenn to go after.
And I hope it wraps up soon because the only thing that came into my mind was we're not going to have episodes and episodes of people sitting around the bed while this girl is in a coma now.
Yeah, we just did that with
Yeah,
Carl.
we just did that with Carl. Is exactly what I was thinking.
So they go looking for Herschel. Obviously, he's gone. They find the empty flask. Rick says, I'm going to go.
Now, this is when Rick reveals to Lori why he is being so diplomatic with
Right,
Herschel.
yeah.
He says, he picks Glenn to go with him. Maggie kind of protests, and then he meets Lori in the hallway and explains, we're going to need Herschel for the baby.
Oh,
It's
I
like
did miss that line.
He's the closest thing to a doctor they've run into, so.
I don't know how. I was probably tweeting or something. I got to stop, but I missed that line completely.
That's why he's still playing ball with Herschel.
Makes sense.
Yeah, so he decides, he asks Maggie, where would he be? If there's a bar in town, okay, that's where we're going to find him. So Glenn goes, and we'll get to maybe in the synopsis here, maybe, there it is later on. So we'll get to that in a second.
I love the scene when Glenn leaves with Rick, though. Maggie's out on the porch with her arms folded, like just scowling at him. And then, like, when he gets in the truck, she stomps off into the house. It's like, they barely know each other, and she's already, scolding him the way a wife would. You know what I mean? Kind of nagging after him not to help Rick.
Yeah, what do we think the time is since they've arrived at the farm at this point? Do we have any clues as to how long they've been?
Well, they've been searching for Sophia. They searched for Sophia for like 4 or 5 days. This is a day after that. I would imagine like a week.
Yeah, I was
tops,
thinking
maybe
about a week
and a half
or
now.
Wow. Yeah. So yeah.
She's already like, possessive of Glenn.
Well, and we find out what's bugging her here in a second. That's what I was referring to earlier, the conversation between Glenn and Rick in the truck. But before that, we cut to a scene where Shane's out, washing his head at the water pump. And Shane obviously is just having difficulties all around. He seems to be snapping a little bit. And he's off by himself, splashing water in his face. He hears something in the forest. Oh, we totally skipped over the fact, it was near the beginning when Carol was sitting by herself in the forest.
Well, no, when they had the little service when they buried all the people, or buried the people and put the rest on the truck, that's when we see Carol in the forest. And then
Okay.
she comes out of the forest when Shane is washing up after, Rick and Glenn leave.
Yeah, and she's stepping on every twig that she can find, and everybody thinks it's a zombie. And I was kind of disappointed that it wasn't. I was ready for a zombie kill at this point. I mean,
I even tweeted that the only zombie kill so far was Andrea's, scythe to the back of the head at the beginning.
The white flower that Carol was playing with and then eventually destroying wasn't that the white flower?
yeah, the Cherokee Rose. Yep.
Yeah,
Cherokee
thank you.
Rose.
Couldn't remember the name of that. Yeah, so she comes stumbling out of the woods, and this is a really bizarre scene, I think, between Shane and Carol at this point. Did you guys get wigged out by this scene at all?
Yeah. Some people are expecting like a sexual thing to go down between Shane and Carol. I didn't really get that. I felt more like they were trying to get more of the audience on Shane's side again. Like, oh look, he really is just trying to take care of everybody. Like something like that.
Yeah, I didn't get any of the sexual innuendo from that at all. And I would agree. I would think, okay, they're trying to make people like Shane again. But he seems to be very bipolar. Shane does. At one point he's calm and collected and thinking clearly, and then before you know it, he's spitting and fussing and mad and just like a totally different type of personality.
Yeah, I think it's directly connected to Rick and Lori. Obviously,
Yeah.
like he's on the attack when it comes to like Rick being the leader or Lori and Carl. He's a crazy person. But we've seen in other instances where he can act normal around the others.
Yeah.
What's kind of alpha male mentality? When another alpha dog is threatening, then you bark really loud. When there is no other alpha dog threatening, you take care of the pack. So
That
he's
seems-
trying to like. I think you guys make a good point that they're trying to make Shane a little more sympathetic after him being so extreme for the past 3 episodes.
And you really see evidence of that alpha dog thing at the beginning of the episode when Herschel tells him to leave, and then he wanders in, and Rick turns to Shane and says, "What are you doing, man? What are you doing?" And they go at it a little bit, and Shane says some pretty harsh things to him, and he says, "You're just as delusional as that old man is." That this is a couple of best friends, talking like this to each other, so it's obviously stressful for everybody, and Shane's not handling it very well.
No,
This scene-
I'm sorry. I think that line, you're just as delusional as that old man. I think that's important. It meant more to me in the bar later on when Herschel realizes how delusional he is.
Yeah.
Like it almost made Rick snap out of it at that point. Like, he says that I'm just as delusional as this old man, and now the old man gets it, and then Rick gets it at the very end, which we'll get to.
So Shane starts cleaning Carol's arms and being
He's like
kind,
birds out of her skin
Yeah.
or running around in the forest, trying to be nurturing and protective.
and he apologizes, about what happened. Now, was it earlier, John? You said it was Daryl that said, "If I'd known she was in there, I would have kept you away." Wasn't it Shane that said that to Carol at this point?
I'm not sure, I guess.
Okay. I don't know why I was thinking that. I mean, Shane said more than, "Hey, I'm sorry what happened to your little girl."
Maybe Daryl was that's when he's just hugging her and holding her back, is what I meant, I guess.
Yeah, he's like, don't look, and yeah. And I think at this point Shane says something like, "I didn't know she was in there." I think it was Shane that said, "If I'd have known." Yeah. So that's kind of a weird scene, and I don't like to dwell on it because it makes me think that Shane is really going to snap at any moment because he.
Plus, Shane is trying to win people over to his side.
That's true. He's
You know what I
a
mean?
scary guy.
He's got his claws in Andrea already by teaching her how to use a firearm and by screwing her in the back of that car a couple episodes ago.
It's a Hyundai.
I'm sorry, Johnny, I didn't get my check from Hyundai in time to plug that for them. If they want to send me a check, I will more than happy extol the virtues of their Hyundai.
They have Hyundai Fun Day.
If you win the ice cream, be Hyundai Sunday. Anyway, he's kind of putting his hooks in each one of them. Trying to make sure that he has something something, some sort of contact with each one, and keep them on his side, as they were, against Rick.
Right. And when you think about it that way, he also could be the father of Lori's baby. He has a relationship with Carl. He does have a little bit of stake in everybody.
He's got Dale scared, scared enough for Dale to keep his mouth shut until he tells Lori about his suspicions about Shane and Otis.
Yeah, that's what happens next in our synopsis here. That was an interesting conversation when he was sharing that with Lori. He says he all but threw it in my face. Are they talking about? Is Dale talking about that scene when he was trying to hide the guns? And
Yeah,
Shane finds him in the woods.
I believe so. Yep.
Okay, yeah, and obviously Lori is concerned. She's actually possibly considering the fact that maybe Dale's onto something here.
And I gotta say, we've talked about how it's been a little maybe unbelievable that Dale knows everything. Like, I'm okay with him saying that he thinks he killed Otis because he did. Shane did basically throw it in his face. But he went a little too far when he said, I think he shot him and he sacrificed him. Like, how would he get any of that?
Right.
I mean, that seemed too much.
That seems the most likely reason for him to kill him. I don't think Shane would have killed Otis, just out of spite or whatever else. The most likely scenario is that, Otis being a big, slow guy and Shane being quick and ruthless. That just seems like the obvious scenario to me. Plus, this has been building between Dale and Shane for a long time, ever since they were in the woods together and he saw Shane, train his sights on Rick. Dale's been suspicious and watching Shane for a long time.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I can live with it. I think I would have been more comfortable with, like, him just saying, Otis probably couldn't make it and Shane left him for dead. Something like that. Right? He just seems to have it too down perfectly.
Yeah, his guess was too specific.
Yeah, I think that's what I mean.
It was too correct in its specificity.
That's not a word.
Such big words. No, it is a word.
Now. Yeah, thank you. I knew it was a word.
Well, you are Jordan tonight. When you're playing the role of Jordan, you're allowed to make up words.
Did you guys? I'm sure you did. You caught the ad in the middle here for the Talking Dead talk show that came on later. John Heater he played Napoleon Dynamite. He was a guest on that, and he said, to be fair, Shane didn't murder him. He just shot him in the leg.
Yeah.
And you know what?
Funny.
Never thought about that. We always thought,
technicality.
Yeah, we always thought, Shane killed Otis. Well, no, he didn't. But he was still a bastard and shot him and left him for dead.
Yeah, I think when you shoot a guy in the leg and he's 10 feet from 100 zombies,
yeah,
pretty sure it's still considered murder.
Yeah. Dale basically says, he's going to kill somebody else soon. It's only a matter of time. Then we get this the scene where Glenn and Rick are driving into town, and this is when we find out, Jim, that Glenn tells Rick, she told me she loved me.
Now, wait a minute.
Yeah, we got to back up. I know exactly what you're going to say, Jim. Go ahead and say it.
Still your thunder, John, but it bothered the hell out of me too. Glenn's riding in the truck with the shotgun pointed right at his own head, okay?
I didn't notice that.
He's got between his knees, pointed at his own head. And John, I think you tweeted something about it. I'm like, oh man, that's driving me crazy.
The quote tweet was, Jesus, Glenn, point the shotgun somewhere else. I mean, the truck is bouncing up and down, and it's probably perspective. Like, the barrel might have been, pointed, past his ear to the side, but the perspective that they're giving you, it looks like it's 3 inches from his forehead.
Like, if they hit a bump, it would be that.
Right, it would totally be Pulp Fiction. It would be freaking Marvin in the backseat getting his head blown off.
I totally did not notice that.
We're going to use it. I'm going to find it and use it for the article image or something. You got to see it.
I'll have to watch that again because I didn't notice that he was not practicing gun safety. So he tells Rick, she told me she loved me, but I couldn't say it back. Rick says we need more good things like that in these days, so you should just go with it. And then we cut back to the farm. Lori is deciding someone needs to go find Rick and Herschel because Beth is still not getting any better. So she goes to Daryl and says, hey, I want you to go into town and try to find Rick for me. And he says, I'm done looking for people.
Yeah.
He's angry that he spent so much time looking for Sophia.
Is this where you had a problem with him, John?
Yeah, I do. And first of all, I don't get, again, plot device, right? Why is Lori sending Daryl out for them? They just left. They're going fast. They know the girl's sick. What is Daryl bringing to this equation? Anyway.
Hey guys, hurry up.
Yeah, hurry faster. Anyway, I didn't like this Daryl at all, and this is kind of what I mean. Let's backtrack and look at the progression, if you want to call it that, of Daryl Dixon. First, he's a redneck jerk that only cares about finding his brother, right?
Right.
Then he is Zen, peaceful redneck who suddenly cares nothing about his brother and only wants to find Sophia. And friend to Carol and picking flowers in the woods. And okay, then he's total badass redneck, shot himself through the side with an arrow, killing zombies and having hallucinations of his brother. And somewhere in between there, he whined about having nothing better to do. There was another episode where Rick wanted him to do something, and he's like, I got nothing better to do, and nobody wants to find my brother or something like that. And now he's back to that again with, I'm unappreciated, don't talk to me about...
I got shot with an arrow, I got shot with a bullet.
Yeah, I mean, I don't get it. If they picked one Daryl, he'd be really cool. If he was still redneck annoying Daryl, he'd probably be cooler than back and forth Daryl. Or
if he had stayed, an a-hole, he'd be a more interesting character than this person that's changing back and forth.
I totally agree. And I didn't love when he got all sensitive with Carol and finding Sophia, but if they stayed with it, we could have said, all right, this guy found the way and he really joined this group and this is his first family, like we talked about. And then if Merle came back, that would have been interesting because now Daryl has changed and he's not his little brother. And that's what I thought they were getting at in the hallucination thing with Merle. But now they're going back to this. I just don't get it. And we have millions of Reedus fans and they're awesome and they tweet and they're happy and they love him. It's not his fault. The guy's doing, the guy's putting in the right work. He's not doing a bad job of acting. I just don't get the way he's being written right now.
Exactly.
Well, it's really underwritten too, and I think the same thing with T-Dog. T-Dog had one line the show, I think.
Yeah, they really need to step T-Dog up in the show, because he's a great actor and he's a cool character.
Yeah, and they're not going to get, if they're planning on killing him off at some point, they're not going to get any mileage out of it because nobody cares right now.
Right.
You have to be invested in these people to give a crap.
So after Daryl blows off Lori, she says, okay, I'm going to go look for him myself. Gets a map, hops in the car, and typical woman driver, not paying attention, not doing what she's supposed to be doing.
Send hate mail to Brad.
I was going to say, send it to Brad Marlowe.
Brad at halfhourwasted.com. Go for it. No, of course, there are thousands of women drivers who are excellent drivers, but never on Sunday. Always on, no, was it never on Monday? Whatever. Anyway, she hits a walker, and you know what? Really quick, it was a really quick glimpse, that's the word I'm looking for, of this walker. I thought it was Glenn. Did anybody else see it just real quick and think, holy crap, she just hit Glenn?
I didn't think it was Glenn, but I thought it could have been a regular person at first until they got closer to the zombie, definitely. I know what you mean, but I didn't think it was Glenn.
All I got to say about this is people wonder why I hate Lori. This is the kind of crap that makes me hate Lori.
There's one working car in the United States at this
I'm
point.
going to rush out by myself without telling anyone I'm leaving to go find my husband who just left a half hour ago.
And who she just tried to send Daryl after him, and now she's going. Whatever. But I didn't mind. A lot of the Twitter and Facebook stuff was that they hated that she hit a zombie and wrecked the car, and that it made no sense and whatever. I'm okay with it.
Is that a Hyundai?
Yeah, I'm sure it was. I'm totally okay with it. I don't know, I definitely don't know why they sent her, but I get that if this is going to be another plot, that now for a show and a half, we got to see her find her way out of this. That's fine. I'm okay with it.
Well, I was glad this happened because this is the first friggin' action we've had in this whole episode.
Yeah, it was slow.
If you think about it, this episode, and I'll try to save this for later when we talk about our ratings, but this is the first bit of action. Other than Andrea dispatching the one zombie, this is the first bit of action, and I totally didn't expect it. And that's what I want in this show, is to not expect whatever just happened.
See, my wife and I were watching that. We totally expected it.
Did
As soon as she got into the car by herself, what was it she was looking at on the seat?
The map.
The map. Whatever it was. She kept looking at it, and my wife was like, oh, she's going to hit a zombie. I'm like, oh, man, she's totally going to hit a zombie. And then she does. So it was kind of, but I'm just like, oh, Lori.
Did you guys, I know Brad bought it, but he never mentioned it, and I don't think Jim ever played it. Brad, did you ever end up playing Dead Island?
No, I've been playing Arkham Asylum.
Oh, okay, because Dead Island, you get to drive around all over the island and just crank zombies, and it totally made me think of that.
No, I wanted to completely exhaust my enthusiasm for Arkham City before I put Dead Island in. So Lori totals the car, then we're back to the bar where Rick and Glenn find Herschel. They tell him about Beth, and this is the scene that John was referring to earlier when Herschel realizes what a dope he's been, and he's been trying to give his daughters a normal life, and he's basically robbed them of it. Herschel says that, you've got to know what I'm talking about, because I saw your face when Sophia came out of that barn. You know there's no hope. I know it now, and you know it now. This is a completely different Herschel than what we've got.
Yeah, but this change makes sense to me because, and he explained it. He just watched his family take slugs to the chest and keep coming at him.
Yeah, that was.
He totally thought there was going to be a cure. That was like his whole premise, that they were going to be able to cure his wife and cure everyone in the barn. But he realizes now that they were already dead all along.
I was really glad to hear Herschel say, when Shane shot whatever his name was, that's when I realized that there was no hope. That's when we realized what a dummy he'd been.
Yeah, feeding him chickens.
Yeah. Rick says nothing's really changed. We still got people back at the farm counting on us. We got to be strong. Come on, let's head back. Then this is when the episode finally gets good. Am I right or am I right?
You are right.
Two guys come in and they're like, hey, what's up? And they're like, nothing. You guys hanging out? Yeah, I'm just having a drink. You guys from around here? And it's interestingly enough, it's Herschel, I think, that pipes up first and he goes, no, we're just,
Yeah, because Rick kind of doesn't say anything, and Herschel kind of sets the tone, and Rick seems to follow his lead, after, to kind of keep these guys away. And then they both kind of realize these guys are kind of inky. Especially at that one point where the guy, relieves himself.
The guys are Tony.
Like dead giveaway.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, man.
The guys are Tony and Dave. Tony, I think, is the big fat guy, and Dave is played, I'm not going to have these names, and I'm not going to try because Jordan isn't here. But
Tony's the fat guy.
Right.
So Michael Raymond James was Dave.
And Dave,
Aaron Munoz is Tony.
And well, not the fat guy. The other guy is from True Blood. He plays Renee in True Blood, who was a really cool, Cajun serial killer character that had everybody fooled for a season and a half or whatever. So he's really good. So he brought a little bit.
I've seen that guy before, and it's not been on True Blood. It's been somewhere else. But did they say they were from Pennsylvania?
Philadelphia.
Yeah. And
their accents were perfect, and they totally didn't fit. They totally don't fit in The Walking Dead. You know what I mean? Because everybody's from Georgia or the South, and these two guys were sticking out like sore thumbs, which was perfect.
Yeah, they were the only ones who had any kind of idea of what was going on, in a 100-mile radius from beyond where they started too. If you think about it, because they only had been in Atlanta and the environs out to this farm, but they're telling you, oh, we're going to Fort Benning. Oh, well, let me tell you how I heard from you. Blah blah blah. They'd been run over, and they said they couldn't even get to DC because of the traffic. And this is like the first news of the outside world beyond what we've seen in the group that we get in this storyline.
Yeah, this scene really, to me, really opened up the scope of this situation. These are people from the other, the top half of the country. They've made it down here to the bottom half of the country. This is happening everywhere. This is just not here in Georgia or whatever. It's everywhere. These guys from Philadelphia, they come in and, I loved it. I absolutely loved it. And you could tell something was wrong with these guys, especially when, was it Tony the big guy?
Yeah.
When Tony starts relieving himself, Rick hears it. You can see that look like, what the hell am I hearing? He turns and he sees Tony just relieving himself on the floor, and the look on Rick's face is priceless.
Yeah, and they're having this conversation, and they're saying, they're keeping it civil and trying to discuss the differences or whatever. But Rick keeps grabbing for his gun, the fat guy keeps grabbing for his gun.
Yeah. It was another alarm bell that goes off for Rick and Herschel is when the guys come in and they say, they deduce somehow that they're on a farm, and Tony, I think it was Tony, he said something like, you got any women? I haven't had a peace in a long time or something.
Yeah.
You can see the alarm bells go on, we have to keep these guys away from the farm.
And it was funny because when they first walked in, I don't know if he said it loud enough so that Rick and Herschel and Glenn could hear, but I believe it's Dave who says to Tony, I can't believe they're still alive. And it made it seem to me like they'd been watching them, so they really knew that they were on a farm the whole time and everything.
Huh.
But I didn't know if he said that where they could hear him.
I thought he was just making the statement that these guys in this bar weren't zombies.
Yeah, that's why.
Okay, I mean, it's possible. It just came off to me like he saw them do something and he couldn't believe they made it. Whether it be all the shooting outside the barn or, I don't know. To me, I thought he meant that he couldn't believe that they were alive, like they made it. But it could totally be that he couldn't believe they weren't zombies.
I think it's more what Jim was thinking. I can see your point, but I felt the same way that Jim did. Because I think what the guy literally says was, son of a bitch, they're alive. These are real people. These aren't zombies.
Right, I got you.
Yeah. And so they talk about, Rick says, going to the farm's not an option. It's crowded. And somebody previously in this conversation, somebody brought up Nebraska about it being nice or something like that. And then so when
it's one of the rumors he says he heard that Nebraska was one of the only places to go because there was a lot of land and a lot of open spaces and very few walkers.
Yeah. So at this point, Tony has leaned up against the wall behind Rick, back where he was taking the lead. Dave has maneuvered himself opposite of Tony on the other side of Rick, climbed over the bar. You can see the gun tucked in Dave's waistband as he climbs over the bar. He turns around, sets the gun down on the bar, being real open and honest,
He says, just look guys, and some drinks.
Yeah. And I get the feeling that Tony and Dave they're like predators. They've been in this situation before. They know how to put the situation to their advantage. They separated themselves and got Rick in between the two of them.
Yeah, definitely.
And they know he's a cop because he said, I'm a cop. And so they know Rick is obviously trained.
Right, and that was another alarm because I think Dave said he got his gun off a cop.
Yeah, he goes, yeah, exactly. That's when Rick says, I'm a cop.
Right, and he was like, well, he was dead already. The one that he got the gun from.
And so Rick says, you can't go to the farm. It's out of the question. And Dave says, what do you suggest we do? And this is when Rick says, here, Nebraska's nice. And this gets Dave's goat. And he starts giggling and laughing. He's like, Nebraska, this guy. And that line right there, when he says this guy, that tickled me to death because you could tell Dave was pissed off at this point.
Yeah, remind me of Joe Pesci in Goodfellas.
Yeah, exactly.
This guy, he just seems like he's really tightly wound, kind of like Kevin Spacey or like other people who played like psychopaths I've seen. Just the whole time he's talking to them, like everything he says almost has like a double meaning. Like he keeps fishing for information about the farm, in roundabout ways, and excusing Tony's behavior. And then finally, when Rick deals out his retribution, it's a pretty incredible scene.
Yeah,
and it almost made me like stand up and cheer. I was just like, yes, finally, the Rick Grimes I know and love has made it on the scene of The Walking Dead.
Yep, exactly. Dave says, this guy, he looks down at the barn, reaches for his gun. Of course, Rick is quick on the draw, pops Dave in the head, turns 180 degrees, puts 2 in Tony's chest. Tony falls. Rick walks over to him and puts a 3rd bullet right in his head. And like Jim said, and like John tweeted, welcome to the show, Rick Grimes. This is the moment I've been waiting for since the show started.
The look on his face, too. Andrew Lincoln's face, after they have a close-up on him after he plugs Tony, he just has like the kind of, I don't know, almost like a relieved look. Like, oh, thank God they didn't kill me, but also a very intense look. It's really like some subtle acting going on there. It was a really good moment for him.
And you know what? It was kind of worth it. I mean, we've been complaining about Rick all this time, and it really led to a good payoff. It makes sense now. He's not going to let this crap happen anymore. He was too soft, and all this stuff has gone wrong, and all these people have died, and that's it. It's no holds barred now. He's going to do what he has to do.
Yeah, and Rick has been this way in the comic for several years now at this point. Rick is a no-nonsense, take care of his own type of guy, and Rick in the TV show, I think, just crossed that threshold. I was so happy. And the looks on Herschel and Glenn's faces they totally got it. They realized what kind of situation they were in. They understand, and you halfway expect Herschel to have this look of horror on his face. Well, no, he's a different guy now too. He gets it. And Glenn.
Well, Herschel during the whole conversation got it. These guys were predators, and we couldn't. Herschel was along for that ride, keeping them on a short leash information-wise, so they wouldn't find out where the farm was.
Yep.
Now let me ask you this: moving forward, I think I know the answer, but it's fun to talk about anyway. Where do you think this leads Rick in terms of now going back to Shane on the farm? Does this make Rick go, you know what, Shane, you were right, and this is the way we need to handle things? You were right all along, type of thing? Or do you think he walks in and it's confrontation right away, like I'm the leader, I know what's best for these people, and it's alpha on alpha right off the bat?
Well, I would say it's going to be a little both. He definitely has a strong opinion about what is the right thing to do, and he may go to Shane and say, you know what, Shane, you're right, I get it. We have to handle the situation differently. And in his mind, he's thinking, as long as Shane does what I think is the right thing to do, we're not going to have a problem.
I kind of think things are going to come to a head when they realize Laurie's missing. They're going to come back with Herschel and Glenn, and then realize that Laurie's been missing, and then Shane and Rick are both going to be frantic about that.
Yeah, that might freak Shane out. That definitely could freak Shane out.
So this last scene saved the episode for me. You guys want to rate it?
Yeah, sure.
All right. I'm going to take a cue from our good friend Joe Jans Soda on Twitter. This episode was a 2-buster episode until the last scene when Rick found his balls. I think that's how Joe put it. And for me, it bumped this episode up to 2.5 busters. I was under the impression that this was supposed to be intense from this episode on. AMC has been saying, Robert Kirkman has been saying, the actors have been saying the second half of the season is intense. Well, the first 50 minutes of this hour were snooze fest. Then we get the intense scene in the bar with these 2 strangers. The show better feel like this the rest of the season. I am losing faith in the show, guys. I'm scared. I want to like the show.
Well, I'm generally with you. I don't think I'm as extreme in terms of I was probably 2.5 until the end, and it bumped it up to a 3. Like, I still think it's good TV. I do agree that this was not the return that we were looking for. I mean, we're kind of conditioned with television, right? Like the premiere, the return, and the finale, they all got to be killer shows.
Yeah.
And this really was not a killer show. And even though the ending was great, I mean, he didn't even kill anybody like that we know. You know what I mean? Like, no major character has bitten it yet. You know what I mean? Like,
no, exactly.
It's still not. It still wasn't what I expected, and we overhyped it. We were really excited. The show was gone for a long time, and that's why they should deliver as such. So I went from 2.5 to 3 busters with the ending. Not bad, better than a lot of stuff I could be watching on TV. Not where I want it to be, but passable.
I think this is going to open up some good storylines coming up with the situation with them in the bar. I agree wholeheartedly. I would give it 2. If the last 5 or 10 minutes of that episode hadn't been there, I would definitely have only given it a 2 because of that last bit where the real Rick Grimes did stand up. I'll give it an extra 1 for that, and then I need to give it 1 more point because I used Clutch at the end of the show. I love Clutch; they're really awesome.
Yeah, a lot of people. I tweeted it right away thanks to Soundhound on my phone. I was able to. It sounded familiar, but I couldn't put my finger on it. If anybody's into the song that they ended the episode with, it's called "The Regulator." It's by Clutch, and I'll probably be ending this episode with it, so you can get another listen to it. And that was pretty cool.
I'm not going to end it with "Please stand up, please stand up."
It's a tough decision now, but I'm probably going to still go with Clutch. But
well done, Jim.
Thanks, pal. Anyway, running through my weird new math that I learned in the 70s, that makes it 3.5 busters. I am excited to see Rick actually being Rick, and I'm with you guys. The first part of it was just a lot of exposition, a lot of talking, a lot of soap opera drama type stuff. A lot of characters, like you said before, John, acting a little out of character. I'm with you. I'm kind of puzzled what they're going to do with Daryl now because it was the way he reacted in this episode and stuff. So 3.5 busters for me this episode, mainly because we got to see the real Rick Grimes.
Yeah, so we have some Twitter buster ratings and some people on our Facebook group. Again, we're at WDTV Podcast on Twitter, and we have a Facebook group as well. Like Brad said, Joe Jan said the first 15 minutes was 2 busters, and after Rick fires his gun, add 8 more busters and an attaboy. 3.5 from Luthen. Brad ZB is with him, says 3.5. Let's see if any of these have some interesting comments to go along with them. That will help.
Real quickly from the Twitterverse during the show, Fisty LaRue has been a big fan of the show and big supporter. I thought the same thing I did when those guys walked into the bar. They were from the governor. So
yeah, I think we're going to have to wait a bit for the governor, and I don't know, I'll leave it at that. Tammy gave it 4 busters. Chris gave it 5, -1 for Lori's driving, for a total of 4 busters. On the Facebook group, pretty positive. 4.5 from Michelle. Everard gave it 4. Victor gave it 4.5. 4 from Erica. 4 from Newt. 3.5 from Mark. 4 from Belinda. So pretty much, a lot of 4s, and well, that's 2.5. Oh, wait, that's Brad. 3 from Mick. 3.5 from Mary. So mostly, your 3 3.5 to 4 range. Fan gave it a 4 because Daryl called Lori olive oil, which was pretty funny. That was a good line. But they're definitely making him the Sawyer of the Walking Dead world, which anybody who didn't watch Lost, there was a swashbuckling dude in Lost who very rarely wore a shirt, and he always had a nickname for anybody that was giving him a hard time on the episode. So they've done that a few times with Daryl now. But so mostly positive again. I mean, I'm hoping there's more that they're going to do. It just didn't seem like a return from such a long hiatus. I felt like we really needed like a new premiere episode here that we didn't really get. But okay, Sarah. Brad, how about an email? Do we have one?
Yes, our buddy Aaron Newworth from the Out Now with Aaron and Abe podcast. He says, let's talk about Nebraska, or as I'm calling it, Herschel flips out, Shane and T-Dog flip bodies, and Lori flips cars. Very clever.
Yes, Aaron is clever.
And accurate. He's just got some quick bullet points. What was Lori thinking? This is just maddening. Who knows, man? It's a woman driver.
Yeah, we're thinking the same thing, man. I mean, why would she leave a half hour after Rick and be all concerned about him? But yeah, great minds think alike.
He says, John Bernthal continues to be great as Shane. Hostility reflection towards a silent Dale. Very well played. Yeah, I love that scene. Like Jim said, Dale just didn't say anything, just stared at him. And as John mentioned, Daryl called Lori olive oil. He says, hilarious. That was funny. Andrea gets zombie kill of the week, followed by zombie cleanup of the week. Hey, we dropped an arm. Hang on a second.
Yeah.
The ending, obviously awesome. Quick draw Rick does his thing and puts an end to a sticky situation. He gives it 3.5 busters, up from a 3 with that solid ending. Not a hugely eventful episode, but a necessary follow-up after what previously occurred. I don't know that it would be necessary. I don't think I would call that I don't think it was necessary to have so much exposition. Why not just let the stuff hit the fan right away? I mean, don't put me to sleep and then wake me up 5 minutes before the show ends.
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, we've certainly said our our piece. It wasn't bad. Hopefully it gets a bit better. If anybody wants to check out Aaron's full thoughts on the show, he wrote a review up. It's already posted on hhwlod.com. You can get there from walkingdeadtv.com as well. And Aaron writes a lot of good blogs for us. And hopefully he's going to be reviewing Walking Dead regularly, which would be awesome. And I just want to mention that Aaron's icon, I guess, or avatar on Skype is Batman swinging a lightsaber attacking a giant shark.
I've seen that painting. It's awesome.
So that's
it's like
pretty awesome.
Layers of awesome.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. Yes. And I would see that movie or play that video game. So before we get to all the fun wrapping up of the show, we do want to mention that next week is called Trigger Finger. And the synopsis says, trapped in the town saloon, Rick, Herschel, and Glenn fight against Dave and Tony's group and the undead.
Yeah, they kind of showed clips of that during the show after The Walking Dead, the comic book men show.
It also says Shane finds Lori in danger on the road and makes it his mission to bring her back to the farm. So, I guess they're kind of telling us that Tony and Dave have a group of people around, so they were definitely up to something, trying to lure them to, open up the farm or show them where the farm was or whatever. And we're also going to have the side story of Shane trying to help Lori. So this, it's potentially very interesting. So hopefully we get a little more action and we're satisfied a little bit more by next week's show.
We can only dream.
Brad is down, but hopefully his spirits will rise again.
It's all good.
Yeah.
We can all be winners.
Correct. Jim, you have something you want to talk about quickly before we send this home?
2 quick plugs, if I may. First of all, this week I am appearing on Nothing's On podcast with Daryl Taylor and Donnie Salvo on the Daryl Taylor podcast network. We're going to be talking about the show The River that just premiered from the Paranormal Activity guys, and we do talk a little bit about the Tony Moore and Robert Kirkman thing with The Walking Dead. So check us out, Nothing's On podcast on the Daryl Taylor podcast network. The other thing I want to talk about really quick is one of our many and various and sundry podcasts, The Legion of Dudes, is hosting the 3rd annual trivia contest at the Pittsburgh Comic-Con, April 20th, 21st, and 22nd at the Monroeville Convention Center. Lots of really great guests this year. Stan Lee is going to be there, Peter Mayhew, who played Chewbacca, George Perez, J. Scott Campbell, Mike Grell, Rudy Nebraze, a lot of really great guests if you're into comics, or if you're just into cool things here in the Pittsburgh area. Check us out, come see us. We'll have a table there all weekend, and you can come join in the comic book trivia contest on Saturday afternoon at noon in the big ballroom and win really cool prizes for your useless comic trivia knowledge that's stuck in your head. So Pittsburgh Comic-Con, April 20th, 21st, and 22nd. Come say hi. I'll be there all weekend long.
Awesome. And once again, we want to thank everybody that hung around and listened to all our stuff for the hiatus, and welcome back to everybody that took a little break. And again, we want to invite everybody to check out the HHWLOD podcast network at hhwlod.com. We've got a lot of great podcasts there on comic books and TV and movies and technology and lots of great stuff. Just go to hhwlod.com, check it all out. You can reach us by voicemail. We'd love to start playing the voicemails again. That's 516-468-7912. Tell us what you thought of Nebraska, what you think of our show, and we'll be happy to play it. Again, the Facebook group, the Twitter, at WDTV Podcast. And what else am I forgetting? Email us, comments at walkingdeadtv.com. We'd be happy to read those too. And we love new iTunes reviews. They help us get noticed. They help us get in the new and notable sections of iTunes and help people find our show, which is great. So, boys, I guess that's it for this week. And